My name is Mindy Meitner, and this is my e-portfolio for the Master of Arts in Educational Leadership and Management at Royal Roads University. I really appreciated that each day at Royal Roads started from a place of gratitude, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have completed my residency there, and I would like to express that gratitude to the Esquimalt and Songhees nations for allowing us to work and learn and play on their beautiful campus. I also wanted to express gratitude to my family for supporting me in pursuing my graduate studies, and my parents for always placing a great deal of value on education and education in its many forms, both life experiences, travel, and independent thought. I have put a lot of different artifacts into this portfolio, so I'm just going to share the highlights because we are short on time. Making connections. So when beginning the Mellon program, I really was looking for how the readings and how the assignments were going to connect to my prior knowledge and connect to my educational practice. And as I was going through, it was really neat at the start to see as some of those connections were happening, but also interesting to reflect when it was new subject matter or new pieces of information, how I look forward to the future when some of those connections will form as well. It was also really valuable to have the number of personal connections that were made over the course of the residency and how important some of those support systems will be, I know, over the next 2 years. In Peter B. Vale's book, Learning as a Way of Being, he talks about being a beginner. And he says, a reflective beginner is able to see the learning process as continual experimentation. A reflective beginner is able to recognize other beginners and be supportive. And a reflective beginner is able to maintain a sense of humor about the sometimes lamentable state of beginnerhood. And I really connected to all of those three topics, all of those three sentiments going through this residency. Teamwork was extremely important during the residency, and I was daunted by the idea of working with a group and completing projects as a group. But the most rich and dynamic learning from this residency came from those group work experiences. So I'm really grateful for those. I'm also really grateful for the time that was put into allowing us to work as a group and allowing us to develop some of the capacities that I know will really help support group work as we go through this program. The team coaching session was a really valuable opportunity where we were given some guidance into what a good team needs to start out with, but also in talking about how to approach conflict and when issues come up, how those could be addressed. The team contract that was provided to us as well that we worked through will be an important resource, I know, going through with more teamwork. It was really neat to have time to work with our team and to talk about things like our shared values and what we look for in other team members and what we really pride in ourselves. And Amy, Cam, and Erin and myself brainstormed different values, different character traits, and respect and relationships were really key at the center for all of us. The community building activities throughout the residency were a really neat opportunity to be able to get to know people on a more informal basis. And I think that having those connections will be really valuable going forward in teamwork. I've got the activities here just as a resource for myself in the future. The World Cafe was one of the most powerful experiences over the course of the residence for me. It was held on the first Friday, and members of the um, the railroad staff as well as instructors. We had students from different programs, and members of the advisory board came together to discuss three questions. One question focused on affecting change in organizations, one was on being a leader in the digital age, and one was using technology in graduate studies. And these three topics just generated such rich discussion, and I really valued the opportunity of being able to contribute to those discussions and having a voice, as well as hearing the different opinions from people in different industries, people from different countries, and different walks of life. So that was a really valuable afternoon. The Change Game was a computer simulation activity that we took part in on the second Tuesday of our residency. And in the Change Game, we got to take on the role of a systems leader coming in and trying to implement a new technology platform in a school district. And Trisha, Lisa, and myself got to work through the Change Game the first time. And it was really interesting how many parallels there were between this computer program and reality when you thought about the need for leaders in the organization to be real agents of change. And it also recognized the importance of social groupings and identifying who you are in an organization, identifying who your influencers are, who the followers are, and what it really takes to be a systems leader. This was also a really great opportunity to be able to discuss change with other people. And so Trisha, Lisa, and I had some really great discussions about what had been important in organizations that we had worked in when change was taking place. I have, just on the assignments tab here, I've listed the different assignments along with some of my learning that came from those. And then I also took some time to look at the readings that we did. And the Peter B. Vale's book, Learning as a Way of Being, and Michael Fullan's book, The Principle, were two books that I really connected to and could relate to as I was doing that pre-residency reading. The research methods in educational leadership and management and connecting leadership and learning were very interesting because they were books that more connected to, I think, our future practice in the program and looking at what we might be working towards. And so that was an interesting sort of dichotomy to have those two different styles of books and placing them in those two different contexts. The going through and doing our personality inventories and our teaching perspectives inventory was really valuable. The teaching or the personality inventory was great to be able to inform some really rich discussions around our group work and being able to identify some of our traits that we bring to group work. I felt like I was very conscientious, sometimes to a degree that those in my group who weren't very conscientious, not necessarily, or weren't as concerned with, being ahead on deadlines and things like that, where we needed to find a balance. And similarly, I was quite anxious, whereas other people were much more laid back in finding that balance as to where we could find a happy medium to work together. The teaching perspectives inventory was really fascinating for me to dissect. And I think looking at my teaching practice and being able to identify that, yes, I am a nurturing teacher, and I really do value learning from a place where students' mental well-being is taken care of before necessarily moving on to the intellectual learning. And that was really interesting to reflect on with colleagues and seeing how it made a difference sometimes when you were looking at elementary school teachers like myself versus high school teachers versus administrators, and the different teaching styles and perspectives that were needed. It was interesting to look at Kurtman's 7 competencies for school leadership at this stage of our masters, where I feel like I'm still in my infancy of taking on some of these more formal leadership roles. I found that I definitely possess some of the key skills already, but there were many areas such as being able to effectively see plans through and working through conflict and having an openness to criticism that are capacities that I will look to work on over the next 2 years. I just want to end off with a little bit about me as a teacher, because I think some of the things that I value as a teacher will really carry through to my master's studies. One is growth mindset, and I really am always encouraging students to do their best and look for opportunities to challenge themselves. I also look at mistakes as opportunities to learn and opportunities to approach problems in new ways. And in going through my master's studies, I hope to really carry a growth mindset with me. This quote is one that really sticks with me. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. And I think that empathy is so important for us as humans. And I really try and teach that to my students. And I also think in going forward in this graduate program, understanding, especially with the teamwork that we'll take part in, that, this is a challenging time and it will be a challenging time for everyone, and how we can support each other. And technology in the classroom. This quote, technology will never replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers is transformational, was on the board at Royal Roads on the first day of our residency, and it really resonated with me. And I hope to look at technology in education as a subject of my research project in going forward. There are other areas of this portfolio that I would love to be able to share, but I also feel like I've shared a reflection of a lot of the really rich learning that took place during my residency at Royal Roads. So I will end on this gratitude slide as well. I hope that you have enjoyed hearing a little bit about the learning that has taken place, and thank you very much.